Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive right into this because we are looking at something highly unusual and, honestly, incredibly significant today. We're going to decode Prime Minister Modi's May 2026 address in Hyderabad. Now, you have to understand, this wasn't just your standard policy update or a run-of-the-mill political speech. No, this was an urgent, direct appeal asking 1.4 billion people to just freeze their non-essential spending. I mean, just consider the sheer scale of that request for a second. Imagine the logistical and economic weight of attempting to shift billions of dollars in consumer habits literally overnight. Today, we're going to break down the exact math, the specific global events, and the macroeconomic realities that led to this unprecedented moment. And by the end of this explainer, you'll understand exactly why a conflict happening thousands of miles away is directly dictating what you can and cannot buy at your local markets.
So, right off the bat, why is the government asking you to stop buying gold? It's a pretty jarring paradox, right? India is the world's second largest consumer of gold. We're talking about importing hundreds of tons of it every single year. It's a commodity deeply, deeply woven into the cultural and financial fabric of the country, from wedding traditions to generational wealth. Yet suddenly, citizens are being asked to hit the pause button. And this hooks right into a really fascinating reality. Global geopolitics doesn't just stay on your evening news. It reaches directly into your personal wallet. So we really need to unravel this mystery of how overseas turbulence translates into the government asking you personally to hold off on buying that necklace or those gold coins.
So, the crucial point is this core demand from the speech, the stay prepared appeal. The message was a one-year request to drastically curb non-essential spending. Now, to be absolutely clear here, the sources emphasize this is not a reason to panic. The government isn't telling people to run to the banks and hoard physical cash, not at all. Instead, it's a strategic pause. But think about what this actually looks like in practice for the middle class. It means delaying the wedding jewelry, holding off on buying a new car, maybe rethinking that family vacation abroad. It's a targeted, temporary halt designed to engineer a massive psychological shift in the populace, basically moving rapidly from a mindset of aspiration to one of strict conservation, all to protect the broader economy over the next 12 months.
All right, let's move into Section 1, the global trigger and tracing the ripple effect.
To really understand these local requests, we have to zoom out for a minute. The economic pressures India is facing right now did not originate within its borders. They are the result of a massive external shock. Let's trace how this builds, step by step. Step 1. The West Asia conflict, specifically the ongoing Iran war. You see, this isn't just a political crisis, it's a massive energy crisis. And that leads to Step 2. Global crude oil supplies are severely disrupted, causing the price of Brent crude to absolutely spike. Now, Step 3 is where the math hits really hard. India imports over 85% of its crude oil, and here's the kicker. That oil is priced in US dollars. So when oil spikes, India is forced into a massive sell-off of rupees to buy those necessary dollars. Basic supply and demand takes over, and the Indian rupee drops sharply in value, which finally triggers Step 4, the local austerity warning we heard in Hyderabad. It's a direct, undeniable chain reaction.
Moving on to Section 2, the math behind the crisis and understanding the drain.
We are now going to reverse engineer the math of this situation. If you want to understand any country's economic vulnerability, you just look at what they absolutely must buy from the outside world. And for India, the absolute anchor of this crisis is its heavy reliance on imported oil. This brings us to a critical macroeconomic concept called forex drain. We aren't talking about a simple household savings account here. We are looking at the severe depletion of a nation's foreign exchange reserves and rapidly widening current account deficits. When Brent crude skyrockets, a country heavily reliant on imports can burn through billions of dollars in foreign reserves in a matter of weeks, literally just to keep the lights on and the transport networks running. And what this creates is a devastating macroeconomic pincer movement fueled by two massive import factors. On one side, you have crude oil. The West Asia conflict spikes the Brent crude price, which immediately raises fuel costs and drives up inflation back home. On the other side, you have gold. And honestly, here is a fascinating irony. During times of global crisis and high inflation, citizens naturally want to buy gold. It acts as a safe haven to protect their personal wealth. But because India has to import nearly all of its gold using foreign currency, that very act of buying gold actively drains the national reserves further and hurts the national currency. It is a perfect storm. Essential energy imports colliding directly with high-volume cultural imports. And the direct mathematical consequence of that massive forex drain? The Indian rupee tumbling to historic lows. When foreign exchange reserves are drained to pay for incredibly expensive oil and gold, the value of the domestic currency just plummets.
But, what does a weak rupee actually mean for the average person? It's not just some abstract number blinking on a trading terminal. It means the new smartphone or laptop you want suddenly costs 20% more. It means sending a child to study abroad suddenly breaks the family budget. It means even basic domestic goods that rely on any imported components just surge in price. The depreciation of the rupee set off alarm bells because it actively imports inflation directly into everyday life.
Okay, let's jump to Section 3, Economic Patriotism and the Defense Mechanism. Now, in the Hyderabad speech, this phrase, economic patriotism, was deployed. And it's vital to understand this not as a political stance, but strictly as a tactical macroeconomic defense mechanism to stabilize the rupee. And this brilliantly illustrates what's going on. Think back to our COVID-era precautions. Back in 2020, we locked down for public health. We traded our mobility and stayed home for physical safety, right? We did it to protect the medical system. Now in 2026, this speech is signaling that the nation must prepare for significant economic pressure. The appeal is to alter our lives and trade our consumer impulses for financial conservation to protect the financial system. We are essentially swapping out physical face masks for locked wallets.
The tactical austerity measures requested in the speech are definitely not random suggestions. They are calculated mathematical strikes against the depletion of foreign exchange reserves. Reviving work from home, for example, it isn't about employee comfort this time around. It's a targeted weapon against oil imports. Think about it. If a massive tech hub like Hyderabad goes entirely remote for just a week, we are talking about saving millions of liters of fuel, which translates directly to millions of dollars kept onshore. Avoiding gold purchases stops dollars from leaving the country for non-essentials. Cutting out foreign travel prevents citizens from spending precious foreign currency abroad. Switching to public transport or EVs cuts everyday petroleum demand. Every single action here mathematically plugs a leak in the national reserves.
Finally, Section 4, what happens next and the road ahead?
So, we've traced the incredible journey from a geopolitical conflict in West Asia to the spiking price of oil, to the historic drop of the rupee, right down to the tactical request for you to revive your work-from-home setup. And the timeline for this strategy is crystal clear. Curb non-essential spending for at least a year. This economic defense strategy is not a quick fix for a temporary blip. It's designed to weather a prolonged period of global instability. But really consider the emotional gravity of that timeline. India is a fast-growing, highly aspirational economy. Asking a booming middle class to just hit the brakes on non-essential spending for 12 straight months is a massive friction point. It is an incredible test of psychological endurance.
Which leaves us with a vital question to ponder. Because, look, this isn't just an Indian story. Economists all over the world are watching this macro experiment play out in real time. If global conflicts dictate local wallets, how long can economic patriotism sustain a growing nation? Can collective citizen austerity genuinely offset the massive mathematical weight of global oil markets? Keep this question in mind, stay curious, and I highly encourage you to keep exploring the fascinating, interconnected world of macroeconomics. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.